Hey guys, Matt here, the Broken Supercoach, checking in, doing a quick round one players guide. I thought I might go through all the players who were, good, bad, who to trade in, who to sell immediately. For the record, I probably won't go through the rookies and the break-even guide, things like that. You can click sort by break-even yourself. I don't think you guys are a bit smarter than that, surely. So we'll go through them. I've got a list of guys that we can click through. Hopefully we'll keep it short too. I don't want to go too long. I'm really mindful of the long videos. Let's try to keep it real short. Just quickly before we start, really appreciate the help on the channel everyone's been given. All the views have been great. Really appreciate the likes and whatnot. Throw up the sub if you can. It's free to do. Just click subscribe. 80% of you who watch aren't subscribed. So if you hit subscribe there, I really appreciate it. Free to do. Helps the channel. Means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Alright, so let's run through them. Let's speed through them. Or maybe not speed through them, but we'll run through them. So we'll start in the defense. I had like a watch list set up, but it just didn't look very good. So we'll just type them in and bring them up. So I'll go through three guys who I thought were pretty good at the weekend on defense. So Nick Daicos, he's my first one on the list. This guy, I was so hot on him. Everyone knows how hot I was on him. I was volcanic on the guy. If you don't have him, he looks real. You got to get him in. There's talks about, can he hold up to a tag or whatnot? In the Collingwood team, you are actually, there'd be something wrong with you as a coach if you tag Nick Daicos, because you can't. They got Goey, they got Pendlebury running out there, they got Tom Mitchell now. You cannot tag Nick Daicos. They'll punish you too hard. So get him in. Beautiful player. Scored 129 on the weekend. Halfback. Gets easy kicks, and he's a beautiful kick. He's probably priority number one for nearly everyone who doesn't have him. Next up, another interesting one, Rioli, a real value pick. Daniel Rioli, that is. Real value pick, 500k, similar to Daicos. If you're looking for that Stewart down, Rioli's really nice. Gets you 100k. I think similar, he's the real deal as well. Plays around the halfback. It's that old Jaden Short role that we used to love when Jaden Short was scoring for Richmond. So I like Dan Rioli. He's on the radar for me as far as trading in for a Stewart replacement. So definitely think of him. 126 on the weekend. He is in 1% of teams, so he's super unique. Don't mind that at all. Lastly, the obvious one is the top scorer of the weekend, Luke Ryan, sorry. 531k, very cheap. Scored 170 with some of the cheapest possessions you'll ever see on the weekend. Intercept marks, absolutely laps it up. Him and Brennan Cox absolutely lap up marks. The reason I don't go Cox over Ryan is Ryan's a proven asset. You know what you're getting with Ryan. He's done it before. He's not new to anyone who's played Supercoach. This guy always has been this good. The worry I have with Luke Ryan over, say, a Daicos or a Rioli is that he might have days where he gets a 40 because he's going to be a key defender, especially with Freo and the way that defense is. So, grain of salt on Luke Ryan. Definitely worth thinking about, though. Picked in 0.9% of teams last week. That will change massively, being that he's the number 2 traded in player this week. So definitely think about that. As far as the bad, Tom Stewart's obviously the big one. He's out, and he's out for a while. At this time of year, you can't hold primos like that. 600k, he has to go. I'll trade him out. What will you do with Tom Stewart? You could, like I said, you could trade him to Daicos or Rioli. Or Ryan. That's the easiest way to do it. Grab one of those three. The other one is just shuffle your lines. So trade Stewart out. Play one of your high scorer bench players from defense, because we saw a few guys score high in McKenna and even Michelani dropped a 50. So you can put them on field and maybe bolster up in the mids with some of these other guys we're about to go through. So Tom Stewart. The other one is Jones. I'm super hesitant to trade Jones if he plays, because we just saw Ryan score 170 on Fremantle. So why wouldn't we see, if he plays, we should expect a very big score. If he's not picked, you have to trade him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I haven't heard about his injury. If he's named on Thursday, great. we'll keep him. If not, he's an instant trade for another rookie that you don't have. McKenna, Michelani, whoever. Even at worst, you grab the Melbourne rookie, but you must trade him if he doesn't get played. Sorry. I guess we'll quickly touch on Chesser. Yeah, Chesser dropped 20 points. Luckily, his job security is absolutely golden. There's a serious concern that he goes out for Yo. I wouldn't waste a trade on a bloke that's 120k sitting on probably your mid or defense bench. If he gets traded, if he gets dropped, then just bad luck. 50% of people own him. Now we have 21 players. It happens. He'll come back at some point and he'll make us money eventually. Sadly, we're just hoping that he gets picked. Luckily, he's a young guy in the worst team in the AFL, so hopefully he gets a run. Really, I wouldn't trade him. Really hesitant on trading him. Let's step into the mid. So we've got 3 mids that I really liked on the weekend. We'll go through the first one. Paddy Cripps. Might be a surprise for some people that this is my number 1 midfielder of the weekend. But I think he surprised everyone. And at 611k, if you picked him, you saved significant money on Rory Laird, who we'll get to. Significant money on Oliver. And he looked significant money on Neil even, and he looked prime. He looked like the Paddy Cripps we all know, the Paddy Cripps of last year. He looked unbelievable. 120, they're the type of numbers you expect from him, that captain option. So, looked really good. Credit to you if you picked him. 13% of guys did. I don't know if he's a trade-in target, but it's definitely one to think about. Quite unique in 13% owned. The other one's the obvious one. So, obviously, if you follow the channel, you know I'm filthy on this one, as I failed to type his name. Tom Greene, absolutely filthy. I didn't pick him. He's so highly owned now, 35%. I imagine he's pretty highly traded in. He looked unbelievable. Attended nearly all the midfield bounces. Yes, they score. Crows give up a lot of contested ball like that. That's going to happen. The nature of a Crows game is that there's going to be a lot of tackles, so there's going to be a lot of contested footy. So his score is probably slightly inflated. I don't think you can afford to miss Tom Greene in the next 2 weeks, though. This guy's a 600k mid at worst, sorry. So I think you have to get him, and you have to move everything you can to get Tom Greene in before, because if you're trying to get him at the buys, he's going to be 600 to 650k, and essentially you've just got a rookie to chase what he would have made anyway. So, yep, he's the real deal. Get him in, and you got to try this week. The other one, I guess, if you don't have the money for Greene and you need some value in the mids, is to Goey. 130 for 468 on the weekend, and I don't think this guy's on many people's radar, but because of guys like Daicos, because of Pendlebury playing so well and their game style, Jordan De Goey is going to score really well this year. He's in 10% of teams. He plays forward a bit and mid a bit as well. I think he's going to score really nicely. Probably not a trade target, but definitely one to watch throughout the year. If we have a look at what he did last year, he had a lot of DMPs, but was it the year before where he played? Was it 21? Yeah, where he finished the year really huge. So he's had that history. He could be one to watch. And then obviously the bad. There's two obvious bad contenders here. It's Rory Laird. That's horrendous by a 700k mid, and a lot of people captained him. And bad luck if you captain him, sadly. That's the way the game is played sometimes. Just terrible. The problem is I think you just have to let this one ride. 50 points is so unlike Rory Laird. I think if we look at last year, his lowest score was, 90? And he did not go below 100 for the rest of 97. So barely, he did not go below 100 last year, other than his first game, and because he had a broken hand, he barely played the preseason. And in 21, same story. This bloke has not cracked under 75 was his worst score against GWS, interestingly, 2 years ago. So, I mean, you have to go back a long way to see a score that bad, and I just don't think that that's reasonable. Like, even this is when he wasn't even playing in the midfield. He was still getting these type of scores. So It is so unlike Roy Laird to have dropped a 50, and I think you've invested 700k into him. I think you've got to watch it. I would not blame you if you traded him this week, and if he drops anything under 100, I think you have to trade him next week. As a 700k player, he will lose way too much money if he drops under 100 next week. But he's a hold. We'll see how he goes against Richmond this week, with a massive question mark on him as far as if he's under 100. I think you just have to trade him for value. For money, sorry. You have to be careful. The other one is Hopper. This guy is an absolute fraud. I can't believe I somehow picked this guy, if I'm being honest with you. And this is pretty sincere. This guy's a bad footy player. No, that's harsh. You know, like, you don't want to say bad things about the players, but like, how did I get fooled into this? Thankfully, 49% of all the players did, so it's not a huge deal. He's immediately gone for me. Immediately. 67 was extremely generous. He scored 70 in the preseason. This is what he's going to score. Yeah, he's not relevant to Supercoach, and it's a bad call. If you want to, you can keep him in for Adelaide. If you've got other things you want to trade, or you're hesitant to trade early, perhaps you don't have any issues, and Hopper's on your field, and you scored pretty well this week. You don't have Stewart. Then sure, you don't have to trade him. But for me, he's got to go. Every year I trade one guy and I say he's got to go. And Hopper's the one this year for some reason. So out he goes obviously for someone like Horn Francis or someone like that, who we'll talk about in a minute. But if you're expecting anything out of Jacob Hopper, then I wouldn't hold your breath. That's for sure. In the rucks, it's pretty easy. We don't even need to really single them out. Gawn, Witts, English were great. They were really good. Never doubt Max Gawn. I said this in my team review. I said it in my every video where I've talked about Max Gawn. Do not doubt him. And same story. The reason I'll shout out the other good one as Madden is a loophole is amazing, because I've been able to captain Max Gawn at 140. I'll do it again this weekend too. The guy looks crisp. He's the best player in the AFL, and it's not even close. And it's not even through rucking. He's the best ruckman also, and he's also probably one of the best tall halfbacks, and he's also probably one of the best tall targets forward. He's that good. Get him in your team, and I can't believe only 10% of people started him. It's going to be another year of chasing Gawn in the ruck, and I'm not going to have to do it, so I'm really happy with that. That gets us, Witts and English, again, really good performances. These are the best three rucks. You want two of them. And that leads us to the bad in rucks, which is Marshall. So 50% of people had Marshall at 500k. He scored 80 points. Pretty sad. I wouldn't take too much out of it, because he was up against Shrek, who always sort of reduces the other ruckman's score. So I'm not going to say it's too bad. I would be I may even move this guy on, though. If he scores 80 again next week, and he is against English, so he's got a tough run, I might even want to move him on, because the thing about it is you don't want to lose money in the ruck area, because Marshall's not going to be a keeper ruck anymore. It's Witts or English as the other two. So think about that. We'll hit the forwards lastly. We'll go through them one by one, I think. If we clear it and click forward, then we get... Oh, yeah, the guys are right here, so let's go through it. First one, Stephen Cornelio. He shocked us all, I think. 557. He's owned by 16% of people, so it's pretty popular. He was expensive, so he's hard to fit in teams. He repaid the favour pretty well. 143, looked unbelievable. Again, contested ball looks amazing. Unsure how he flew under so many radars as DPP, and he's best 6 for sure. 557 might actually be a bargain, so consider that in your trade tactics, because 557 he may go up to 600k if he keeps playing like that. The other one that I think, if I said, who did I say was the number one target this week? Nick Daicos. If Nick Daicos is number one, then Jason Horne-Francis is number 1A. I tried to fit him in early. You would have seen my video earlier with my dilemmas 5 minutes before the Thursday lockout, trying to get this guy in, doing some shuffles for Hopper. In hindsight, this was the easiest call to make, and it's not even close. If you were debating between Hopper and Jason Horne-Francis, I will play Jason Horne-Francis in the midfield if I have to. Get him in your team. Luckily, you can do some shuffling and put a rookie in, and you can just get Horne-Francis in the forwards. I think this guy's a top 6 forward. He'll fit in your team easily. He's so cheap. If you don't pick him up now for $350, you're going to be paying $500 for him at the buys. The only thing you may want to think about is that he didn't play with boak. So think about that. Boak was not in the team. So that's something you have to really think about. He'll probably get less CBAs than normal because boak will take up most of those, you would think. Just quickly, the other one was Gulden. The other good player was in the forward line was Gulden. We'll type him in. 115. At 472, it looks real. I don't think it's like a must-have type of deal. He did start last year really well as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah, he had a huge sort of first few games, and everyone thought that he might be real again, and then kind of dropped off. So I don't think it's... He's certainly one to watch, but he's done this before. He must just be a very good preparer. I don't want to move heaven and earth to get him in the team. He may just be a guy that we have to grab. There's only one more bad in the forward line, and that was Fergus, wasn't it? 33 points. Oh, I mean, he had him on the bench, and most people have him in 55% of teams. He's another one similar to Chesser. I wouldn't be trading him. Just hope that he gets more points. Hope that he gets more chances. Fingers crossed. That's what we're going to do. So if you've stuck around for this long, thanks. Really appreciate it. I'll give you a bonus bit of content, which will be what my trade might look like this week. I can only say might because teams have got to come out. But I think realistically, I probably trade Tom Stewart. Obviously trade Hopper. And then we'll go something as simple as this, which will be, we'll put Chesser up to the mids. We'll get Tom Greene in. We'll put Philippou up to cover our forward lines for us. Would it be Philippou? Yep. We'll put Philippou up. He'll cover the mids for us for a little while with that DPP, and then Horne-Francis in. 84k. That also allows me, if I really want to trade Marshall for English. I don't have to, but if I want to, I could do that. It also allows me to go, say Jones isn't picked, I can go Jones to McKenna as a third to make up even more money for next week. So I think 3 trades is the go this week because prices aren't moving. Take advantage of that. Use 3 trades if you can. If you don't need it, don't force them. But make sure you have every good rookie on your team. Make sure you have Jimby and all those guys. Sort by break even. Other than the Melbourne guys, maybe Chandler. Make sure all the rest are in your team. Callahan's got to be in. Noah Long's got to be in. Mackenzie's got to be in. Sheasel has to be in. Davey has to be in. Who's the other one? Yeah, Hollands probably has to be in. Cowan got the sub, so he probably doesn't have to be in, but Constable does. McKenna does. So make sure you've got all of those, and then look at your team. So that's probably what I'll do if I make the extra trade. Marshall to English will be the one. Marshall to English, Marshall to Witts. One of those two, probably English, because I want to say, I can't afford Witts, so don't know why I've said I'd do that. English, that's probably what I do. Otherwise, Jones to McKenna. Like this. Jones. And we'll just search for McKenna. I'll show it to you, because why not? Let's be a nice guy like that. Jones to McKenna. If Jones isn't playing. 144k brings us into next week. We get one more look at Marshall. If he doesn't perform, he's out. We get another look at Laird. If he doesn't perform, he's out. Easy as that. And then, Jones obviously not being named. What we probably do at that point is shore up our defense a little more by getting another premium in. Keeping in mind that Sheasel is playing defense in round 6 for us. That guy started on halfback, played the entire game in halfback. So, in he goes. Anyway, let's not hit 20 minutes. Apologies for the length. If you stayed the whole way, thank you so much. I will probably drop another video in the next minute or two, a shorter one. Not minute or two, day or two, a shorter one. Team reveal, trade reveal type of deal. Cheers, guys. Have a good one. Yep. See ya.